So beginning in alphabetical order, Mr. Caballero.
Hello everyone, thank you for being here tonight. This is a very exciting night for all of us. I'm Jose Caballero and I am your unapologetic progressive veteran for peace. I have been fighting for this district for quite a long time. I ran for San Diego City Council in District 7 in 2016, where I was able to take down about 16% of the vote. This is my community. I've lived here for over a decade in this district. I'm raising my son of 5 years old, and I'm raising my family, and I started my business here. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm originally from the state of Texas. I was born and raised a conservative Catholic, believe it or not. And from that period of time, I was able to understand what it was like to grow up in poverty, because we lived in one bedroom of my grandmother's home after my mother went through a divorce. And it was a very trying experience. But through all that, I was still able to get into the nuclear engineering program for the United States Navy, where I served 6 years, 4 of those years here in San Diego on the USS Ronald Reagan, where I'm a veteran of the wars Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom, and hopefully no more. It was that military experience that brought me to understand what it was to have values and what patriotism actually meant, what the Founding Fathers actually wanted from our country, and not this perverted thing that they call it now. I am running for this seat because I've had 2 friends die of suicide because of PTSD. I'm running because the world is burning down and we need a Green New Deal. We need Medicare for all to stop and prevent the needless deaths of our citizenry just because they don't have insurance. I'm Jose Caballero, and I'm running for this seat because the people demand actual change. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Janessa Goldbeck, and I'm a native San Diegan and a Marine Corps captain. I grew up in North County. My mom was a public school teacher. My dad drove a tow truck. And before I was in the Marine Corps, I worked in Washington, D.C. as a human rights advocate, where my job was to pass federal legislation to protect civilians living in conflict zones and prevent and stop genocide. I spent my entire career working to build a safer and more equitable world, and I'm running for Congress because I believe that San Diegans deserve a representative in Congress who has the courage to stand up to special interests and corruption, and a proven track record of getting things done on Capitol Hill. But it's not just about politics to me, although I think that politics are the reason why many of us are here. It's also personal. You know, I was able to join the Marine Corps and serve in the military because of the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I was able to purchase my first home because of a VA loan just down the street in Talmadge. I was able to go to a great college because of federal grants and loans, and I'm able to take care of my mom, who has MS and early onset Alzheimer's, because of the benefits provided to her by her union pension. I've worked across the aisle to pass bipartisan legislation that moves the needle on the issues that matter, and that's what I'll do as your next representative in Congress, on things like affordable health care and housing, tackling the climate crisis, and standing up for women's rights. I want to also tell you about why I'm in this race in particular. You know, I got out of the Marine Corps in August of last year, less than 6 months ago. I was not planning on running for Congress, and it's not just another rung in the career path for me. When Congresswoman Susan Davis retires, our community will lose decades of experience, and it's imperative that we have someone who can hit the ground running on day one and make a real difference for San Diegans. I have that experience, and I know that when leaders in Washington make decisions, they have real consequences in the lives of San Diegans, as they've had in my own life. I will never take that responsibility lightly. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. My name is Janessa Goldbeck, and I'd be honored to earn your vote. Thank you.
My name is Georgette Gomez, and I first want to start by thanking Indivisible for putting this forum together. And more importantly, I want to thank Indivisible for helping lead the fight against Trump. Thank you for everything that you've been doing. And want to recognize, as a community organizer, before joining the council, I know the work that you do is critical. The work that you've been doing has led to Daryl Issa resigning for Congress, so thank you for that. My campaign is about taking Trump's agenda, making sure that his bigoted, dangerous agenda doesn't continue. I want to make sure that our Congress is putting attention to the people, which is what we deserve. As a council member, I've been leading on the issues. One of the first things that I did was to establish the 8th largest city have a stance on Trump's wall. We've been also joining lawsuits to protect our dreamers, as well as our transgender community members. We've been leading the path on ensuring that we're achieving our climate reduction plan by achieving our 100% renewable energy. This is what I've been doing as a council president. I've been leading on issues. I've been addressing our quality of life issues. And I've been doing it because this is personal to me. As a daughter of immigrant parents, I understand what it means in not addressing our immigration reform. As someone that grew up with my parents working multiple jobs just to make ends meet, I understand what it means to have housing insecurity, to not have enough food or healthy food because my parents bought their food at the liquor store. Our government's supposed to be serving our community. And I've been doing that as a council president when I was elected. And that's the type of leadership that I'm going to take to DC. I want to make sure that we're standing up to Trump, his bigoted, hateful agenda, but more importantly, that we are addressing the quality of life in our communities. Thank you.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Sara Jacobs. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm so happy to be here with you all tonight. As was mentioned, I'm so grateful to Indivisible for putting on this event and for giving us the opportunity to talk about the issues. You know, I worked on the 2016 campaign, and it's incredible for me to think about the fact that Indivisible didn't exist in 2016. We all would never have known what an Indivisible chapter was, and now you all have become such a force in our politics, and so that is a real testament to all of you stepping up and saying, this is not how our country is going to be. We're going to take it back, and we're going to share our values. So as many of you know, I'm a third generation San Diegan. Actually, my mom's in the room. Born and raised, and when my great-grandparents first moved here to San Diego, they moved to the college area just a few blocks away from here because that's where Jewish families were allowed to live. And San Diego has given my family a lot, and that's why I've dedicated my career to trying to build a fairer and more equitable San Diego and world. And I was honored to serve in the Obama administration at the State Department, in the Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization Operations, and at UNICEF, where I work to protect vulnerable children around the world. I was a policy advisor to Hillary Clinton on the 2016 presidential campaign, and for the last year, I've been a scholar in residence at the University of San Diego's School of Peace Studies, and the founder and chair of a countywide initiative to end childhood poverty here in San Diego County. So here's what I believe. I believe we're all going to do our jobs, and in 2021, we're going to have a new president and a new Senate, and we're going to keep the House. But even if that doesn't happen, we know that 2021 is going to be an incredibly important legislative cycle, and that's why it's so important that we have someone who's worked in the federal government, who's made and implemented policy at the federal level, has worked in the federal agencies, and understands where public policy meets implementation. So again, my name is Sara Jacobs. I'm very excited to take your questions tonight. Thank you so much.
How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Indivisible, for putting this wonderful forum together, inviting the candidates, and giving us another opportunity to really express why we're doing this, talk about some of the most important issues that are impacting our communities right now. I think I'd like to express that I have the honor of and the privilege of working with Indivisible side by side in the 2018 midterm elections through Organizing for Action, Obama's former campaign team, after leaving the Obama administration working on economic, environmental, and labor policy. So my name is Joaquin Vasquez, pronouns he, his. I'm a son of undocumented parents. I know firsthand the impact that family separation has on children and their families. When the family separation policy first came about, I was appalled, my heart breaking because I knew the pain and how that pain was still worse than mine when my family was separated when I was a child. When I received an email sort of survey about Congresswoman Susan Davis asking what our thoughts were on that policy, I knew that come 2020, I was going to be the next Congress member of this district, because we need to stand up with urgency. We need to stand up for our communities. No human being should be nobody from any party, any culture, any country or creed should ever have to ask what's wrong with something that you already know. I have a master's in public policy and administration from Northwestern University. I've worked in the Obama administration on several policy issues. I know how to get things done in DC. I've worked as an advocate, as an activist. I'm here running a 100% grassroots campaign, and I'm fighting for every single one of you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you all very much for those opening statements.